Warning: bad or taboo language.
Possibly.
Recording in progress.
You're off.
It's
You're
going to
off.
amuse me every time, that. Recording in progress. Hello, good morning. Weirdo Club, Season 1, Episode 7. Thank you for joining.
It's all right, anytime.
And thank you to anybody. Thank you to
Cheers,
our...
everyone.
All right, just put your mug up closer, because, yes, that's yours. That's mine.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I didn't buy this mug.
I didn't buy this one. This was a secret Santa gift to me from work colleagues. So obviously, I made an impression on the people that I work with there.
I'm not even going to comment, and I won't swap my glasses today.
Okay, eyes on, eyes on.
So,
I mean,
so
did you
when they
see
come
that
off,
in
it's
that
just
snippet that you did? I mean, I was down here looking at this when I was on my phone looking up, and I could see you swapping in the replay now. You just
you can see it now.
big cheeky grin on your
Every
life.
time it's like
Every time I wasn't looking, I was like,
that's
there you
in my
go.
mind.
Fun.
It's anyway, right. So, um, first and foremost, thank
Yes.
you for the yin yoga class last night.
Mm. Yes.
Herwood Holistics Arch Barn, 7 p.m. on
Oh, it's
Thursday
fun.
night.
Yeah,
It was
that's
just what
good.
I needed.
Good. Um, it's interesting because I've been playing around on taking my headphones.
Right, that's
And
back.
okay,
Yeah,
interesting. I didn't realize that.
yeah. It just you'll see when you watch it back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, because I'm doing stuff for the free man um community regarding breathwork and meditation. So I'm doing a couple of recordings and stuff like that. And I've been thinking that I'm more in my flow rather than sitting like in a room like this and just talking to a microphone or talking to a camera. I'm more in my flow when I'm in teaching. And I was thinking last night it would have been nice if I'd had a microphone linked up to me. It's I liked the flow. It felt good last night. It was just like a natural. It's just like some little downloads, and it felt quite peaceful for me to deliver that as well. And I was like, damn it, why don't I record that? Because then, like, it feels like studio-esque. Like if I've got the microphone and a camera set up, and I'm like, no, no, no. It's a different feel when you're recording to a camera than it is delivering to a room. Something I need to work on and explore. But and I know how to do it. But it was nice. Yeah. So thank you. It's good to hear the feedback because sometimes I feel good, sometimes I don't feel so good when I'm delivering. It's nice. But it hit the spot last night for you. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
thank you for the feedback.
Um,
Mm.
I can't remember what you were saying. I don't need to.
No, well, that's the thing. I can't remember what I'm saying, and I wouldn't be able to replicate it either. So that's that's why it's I don't know. But then having a mic set up and stuff like that, it's just not right. Sometimes I do it if I'm doing a retreat or something. I have a camera set up and a little mic, but
Well, you don't need
not for
to.
every day.
You don't need to video it. You could just get. I
No.
have these. You've seen them. I have a handheld little Honda device. It's only like a. It's in a drawer, so a
Mm.
recording device. They're actually very good. They pick up quite a lot. You could just
Oh,
turn that
okay.
on and put it next to you, and then
Yeah. Or
edit
just
it.
do it. Yeah.
Or not, because
I
maybe
think
that's the point.
exactly. Exactly.
It's in the moment, isn't it? And it'd be nice to
It's
listen
in the
back to it.
moment.
I mean, I find these interesting to watch back or listen back to because you're like, did I really say that? Um,
It
did I
is
really
good.
just
It's
give
good.
you? Did I really just give you the
Reflection is,
V's? Hmm?
huh?
Did I really just give you the V's?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm used to that by now.
Hence the mug.
That's it.
Full circle. So it was great, Matt.
Nice one. Cheers.
Um, I just wanted to say that I don't. I think the only reason I'm hesitating and thinking is because what you just said tells you a lot about yourself, doesn't it? If you find it different, let's just say, to be in that room of people. And how many were there last night? About 10? And you?
9, yeah, 9.
Nine, maybe, yeah. And it was nice last night. It was pretty nice energy to
Yeah,
be woo-woo for a moment.
it was good energy.
Um, we obviously don't want to break anybody's confidences or anything like that, but it was just nice. And it was
Yeah.
very calming.
Mm,
Um, and I needed it. And we don't need to talk about. I had a few challenges yesterday until half an hour before your yin class.
mm,
I was supposed to do your Ashtanga, and I pulled out of both of them originally because of everything like going on here. A physical problem with the roof and a psychological problem with me and or my wife, and just one of those days where things it was destined. Sorry, I'm looking there because I've got this poster that says "Live one day at a time and make it a masterpiece" by the Dalai Lama. It's got the alphabet, and then it's got little sayings across, like an
mhm.
acrostic. And as I was talking to you, I was about to say destiny, and then I just my eyes went control to the end of take control of your own destiny. Right. So anyway, the point is, it was bizarre because from the moment that I stepped out of the door to do a dog walk with Natasha yesterday, everything was a bit like unsettled.
Mhm.
And then your young class helped settle it, and also what helped settle me before. So I didn't want to come to your class and bring this energy
Rude. Yeah.
because it's not
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. You don't want to bring it in there.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's an
Yeah.
element of it. That's what it's there for too. But you
Yeah.
also got to understand yourself, haven't you? Which comes back to you about the video and the class. You got to understand yourself. And
Mm,
also, by the time I'd expended all this energy on other stuff, I didn't have the energy for a dynamic Ashtanga class.
mhm. Yeah.
But I did have the energy, and I did need the calming energy of a yin class. And
Mm,
then for half an hour, I then had half an hour because I pulled out of both and then rebooked on the yin. Had half an hour. And the purpose of this for this Woo Woo Weirdo Club, I guess, is I did a 5 minute meditation in Sadasana, and then I did a few yoni poses, like, doesn't really matter, three or four,
before
five,
class.
pardon?
Before class in that half
Before
hour.
class,
Yeah. Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just totally reset everything,
Mm,
which is the power of the breathing and the asanas
yeah.
and meditation.
Yeah.
Um, so it was cool. It was cool.
I
And
am interested you say that actually. I won't breach any confidentiality, but somebody's been suffering with morning anxiety. And they said to me just yesterday, in fact, that they'd started a morning yoga practice, just 10 minutes, just a couple of Surya Namaskars, just to move the body, just to really. They've only been doing it like a week. And they said that even after a week, just a 10-minute flow in the morning, like, it makes them feel so much better. And the morning anxiety has already started to dissipate. I feel they're still
brilliant.
waking up, but now because yeah, the anxiety brings a lot of adrenaline and cortisol release. Now they're just feeling tired because they're
Can't
kind of coming down off that high. So
want to go back to
that's it.
bed.
Yeah, that's it. They want to go back to bed, which is a good thing because they're catching up. But yeah, I mean, just those little simple little, and you just taking that half hour. I mean, you could have dropped onto your phone, you could have checked emails, you could have
Watch the
done
Woo Woo
whatever it
Weirdo
is you
Club on
needed to
YouTube.
do. What's the exactly? Um, but no, it's a good little call to just drop into the body and prepare yourself energetically for the practice, and that's probably what helped make it feel more special for you as well because you were already in the zone
Mm.
on arrival. So
Not quite. I mean, I wasn't quite. I was still.
yeah.
So I still need. And actually, you probably didn't notice because you've been it, but I noticed in myself last night. So go back into last week's. Pay attention. I
Hmm.
noticed in myself last night. I was very mind bothered. I
Mm.
moved around, fidgeted in those poses more than I ever do. Very
Okay.
fidgety for me. I don't know about anybody else because I don't watch them. As you know, I'm at the front of the class and I've got my eyes closed for an hour,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
But I was just fidgeting. So it goes back to last week, episode 6. Pay attention because there's stuff that you will learn, and then you paying attention to this the difference in this video and the class. But there's a beautiful segue right now from this, like, your colleague, friend, student who's doing the 10-minute morning practice from nowhere
Yeah.
and it's helping, and me. spending half an hour before coming to class, which instead of going on my phone, I texted you this morning and you don't, and I had an idea this week for what to talk about today. And I know you said don't say it directly, but
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, cool.
but we've
Uh,
kind of got there.
But there you go.
All
Of
this
course
is
we have.
about, yeah.
Because I did say don't tell me about it. You said you want to know about it ahead of, and I said no, I'll just wing it, but maybe no direct questions because sometimes I feel a little bit on the spot, and that's something I've got to deal with. But yeah, it doesn't matter if I don't know something. But yeah,
Oh,
but if we've naturally swung around,
we're at the
and
point.
and
We're at the
and
point.
I did reflect on that as well, and I was like, well, it's okay not to know stuff as well, so that's fine as well. And all I have to do is say I honestly don't know anything about that,
Well, if it
and
makes you,
let's
if it helps,
explore it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's interesting reflection after sending that message. But
And if it helps, I feel exactly the same.
mm, yeah,
I'd prefer to do things by email for a variety of reasons than a phone call because sometimes, or a meeting, because in a meeting or a phone call, you can't predict what's going to be said. And so
yeah.
there's anxiety about like, can I
Mm.
deal with it? And then some of it is it. So the the thought was, and it came into my head earlier in the week, and it came in two very, very clear words, a bit like pay attention. Two very clear words. Why bother?
And we
Right?
touched on this the other week, didn't we? Yeah,
Kind of, yeah. But
yeah.
why bother? And it was just right in my head. And it sounds negative at first, and I'm sure if I put, a strap line of why bother, people are like, what? It's got
Mm.
not got it's not to do with this, it's not to do with anything else. It's just like um and it just hit me like that. And then I've been reflecting on that. So do you have a reaction to that? Why bother?
Well, I've experienced that a lot in my life, more probably early 20s maybe, and that was kind of like, well, what is why bother? Why bother with the existence? Like, what's it all about? Like, a little bit directionless when I was younger. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a big question in my life sometimes that I keep coming back to, and why are we here? But why bother as well? Like at the end of the day, when we get to the other side, if we end up in that waiting room, whatever happens, we're going to get flooded with all the answers, and then we're going to go, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. That I didn't need to know all the stuff that I thought I needed to know when I was walking around on two legs. When I get there, it's kind of irrelevant. It's just that absorption of it. Um, so why bother? Yeah, it's kind of triggering from an early age, but now there's a lot of acceptance around it, I think, as to why bother. Why
Yeah.
are we here? What are we doing?
Well,
Experience, live,
well, pardon?
experience, live, learn, share.
I think that's part of it. It's like,
Mm,
um, from that. I mean, I must have talked to you about a lot of experiences I've had. For example, on Insight Timer, there is a guided meditation by people who call themselves the Honest Guys, and I don't mind giving them a trail or whatever because our one viewer probably won't watch this. But they had a guided meditation, a shamanic journey to meet your spirit guides.
mm.
So in essence, using shamanic drumming patterns and a bit of guided meditation, you might even want to call it hypnosis, to go and meet your spirit guides or guides. Not everybody will meet people, of course, because they might be close to it, but I did this once. Twice, I actually did it a couple of times, but the first time I did it, I was just getting the information of just be and
Mm.
went back. So they say go into the experience with a question for your spirit guides. And the question that most people ask, and the QHHT is the same, is why am I here? What am I doing? What's my purpose?
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Why bother? Why bother? And they're like, just be. And I'm like, well, that's a bit unsatisfactory.
Really annoying, isn't it? I got that answer a couple of times, and it's like, I just
And
want to be.
I know other people have as well. A lot of other people have that I've talked to about this. And then I went back in and did it again, and it was like, just live. And I, all right. But then you go down other different things, experiences, and it is partly depends on your belief system, but my belief system is that we are part of God, if not God, if not gods, whatever you want. That's just a word. We are part of the all that there is. We are a smaller energy, currently a smaller energy field within a larger energy field that's bound into a physical body. So now we are getting a bit woo. And we were sent out, or we went
Or
out
real.
from woo woo, yeah.
Or real. Yeah.
Yeah, oh well, it depends. And we went out from the source or the center or the all that there is to experience. And this is why I think we definitely talked about this. There is no good or bad, and it's merely experience. And through that, everything grows and everything learns and everything. And then it's preparing the next creation,
Mm.
the next universe or whatever. And being in this, being if we are energy fields or energy beings bound in a physical existence, for example, for the first time ever, for some of us, then it's going to be really quite difficult and challenging. But that's kind of the point. So why
Yeah.
bother? Well, yeah, why bother? Why not? What's the
Yeah.
alternative?
It's always the flip, isn't it? It's the polarities, isn't it? It's the first thing as well, isn't it? Why not? Why not? Absolutely, why not?
Why not bother? And this
Um,
just doesn't apply to like spiritual practice or yoga or whatever. It applies to everything.
mm,
But it also seems to me that it's kind of a good question to ask yourself.
mm.
You know,
It can be, yeah, it can be quite triggering. And I've wondered about it about in the men's community whether to ask that question as well, because if somebody's kind of on the edge, like I used to, I wouldn't say I was definitely not diagnosed with depression and stuff, but it felt like it was I was on the brink, like,
same,
it was just
same.
like
Hmm.
what the fuck is the point of all this? you know, um, and it makes you like I suppose if you ask the wrong person at the wrong time, it could put them in a downward spiral, couldn't
Mm.
it? Potentially. So because like you said, it can have that kind of that downside to it. Whereas if you're in that mindset, you could kind of just go, "Woof, actually, what is the fucking point? What?" So I'm a little bit like, do I ask that question? But I mean, these conversations need to be had as well at the same time, don't they? It's
You just
good to
have to feel
explore it.
into that.
And if you're having a dialogue, it's a lot easier to kind of
Yeah.
manage that dialogue. If you're doing a tippy tappy bop, then you left it out to the ether, and then you don't know what's going on the other end here. But
Yeah, you don't see the
yeah,
non-verbal
you
cues.
don't see the reaction or anything like that. Yeah.
So I'm going to make this positive now because why bother? And link it back to your, let's just call it friend doing the 10-minute yoga sessions. So, for the non-yoga people, there's a pose, an asana in yoga called crow, which is you're balancing your knees essentially on your arms, and the only thing in contact with the ground or the earth is your hands. Obviously, you're a yoga teacher, you know what I'm talking about. And there's also another
Maybe we
sort
should insert a little picture here, stage right or something, of a
of,
crow.
oh, possibly, yeah. I mean, that might be beyond my technical ability. And then there's another one, shoulder stand, moving into, is it plow, where
Flower pose,
your
yeah.
legs are up, you're supporting yourself, and your legs go behind your head,
Hmm.
and you bend double backwards, and some people's feet touch the floor. And maybe we can insert an image of that there. You might have to edit this video
I might have to edit this video. Yeah.
because I'm not sure I'm capable, but we'll work it out. Um, anyway, so the point of why bother, like your friend, I decided I came to your Ashtanga Fusion class for the first time a few weeks or months ago, and these two or three poses feature in that class. Um, and I knew I could basically get into Crow a while ago, and then I couldn't because I lost some strength through not practicing, and then through the class. And so I'm like, well, you know what? If I'm going to do this, or even just be and just live, and also another instruction I've given myself, or my subconscious, my higher self, or God, or whatever you want to call it, has given me whilst I've been under hypnosis in a QHHT session is your purpose is to live as long as you possibly can on this live as long as you It doesn't matter. Live as long as it's humanly possible to live on this earth for a variety of reasons, right? So I need to take care of the body. And so it's like, why bother? Well, because this is all about building strength, building coordination, building flexibility for the long-term good. I'm approaching, well, I'm middle-aged now, according to an average lifespan. And so why bother? Because I don't want to be bent double later on in 20 years' time, because I want to be able to get out of a chair unaided in 20 years' time, or 30 or 40 or 50 years' time. So why bother for that? So then
Yeah.
I just decided from nowhere, or I was inspired to, and I think it was you saying about the shoulder stand. You're like, traditionally, this is held 6 days a week for 15 to 20 breaths, or whatever the breath pattern is. And I'm like, well, I can do that. I already know I can get into that pose, and so
Yeah.
I could just do that a little once a day, twice a
Yeah.
day. We come to your Ashtanga class
There you
once a
go.
day
Yeah.
for 6 days. If I get or 7 days or five or however many I do, it's more than I did. So I started doing it,
Yeah.
and I built a little 5 to 10 minute flow, if you like, to use a yoga thing. And one of them is crow, and one of them is shoulder stand going into this plow.
Hmm.
So this morning I held crow for 26 seconds.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I can hold it for
Mm.
longer. That's just where
Mm.
I was today. Because like we
Yeah.
talked about last time, it's like some days you've got it, some days you haven't. Right. Failed after 26 seconds today. Well, that's nearly half a minute in that pose. It's
Mind
awesome.
your language there. Mind your language. You said failed after 26 seconds. There's no failure there, is there?
Oh, I thought you I thought you were
No, no,
saying
you
something
weren't swearing.
about yeah.
You weren't swearing. No, I knew you'd think that, but no, you weren't swearing.
I thought I was going to be swearing.
You
Um,
said the F bomb, but the other F bomb, like, yeah, failed.
yeah, but
Failed
I get
after 26 seconds.
now
But yeah.
that's interesting because it is like I reached failure. So you know, like in weightlifting, you reach muscle failure. And
Mm.
actually, so this is very interesting because it's something I worked with Seb, my son, about at one point. It's
Mm.
like if you don't fail, you're not really going forward. You can't learn
Yeah.
and grow.
Yeah.
So the best example of how, because we're all afraid of failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I say all, but generally speaking, people have
And we
got
need
a
to let that shit go. Yeah. If you're not
yeah,
failing, you're not trying, are you? So
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can look
deep
up
in your
at
little bubble and you're just like, yeah, I'm
yeah,
great, I'm great, I'm great. But
yeah,
where's the expansion? Where's the growth? If you
yeah.
want it, of course, you don't
You
have to.
have
If you
to,
don't
you
want
have to
it.
fail. You have to
Yeah.
fail.
You have to fail if you want growth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like the bet
You have to be
I
prepared to be rubbish and useless at certain things until you get better at these certain things. You have to be willing to look like a fool sometimes to learn and grow. Reflection back to that question. Don't ask me a direct question because I might not know what you're on about. So, but you know,
fear
you
of
have to do
failure.
it, didn't you? You have to do it, yeah, if you're a
Yeah,
failure.
fear of failure there. Let's say it for what it is.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was I got to failure. I was
Mm.
trying to say after 26 seconds, whereas sometimes I get to failure after 10.
Mm.
Sometimes I get to failure after 30. I don't know what the longest I've held it for now. I can't think. But then this is like why bother? Because you do a little bit every day, you do a bit more every day, and before you know it, it's like I'm actually a little bit pissed off. Oh,
Yeah.
got through the episode without swearing.
Apparently, the rule on Instagram on YouTube is no swearing in the first 5 minutes. Apparently, so I heard this the other day. I think we've broken that because we opened with two dickheads, but um, that was the first sentence, I think. But apparently that's the rule. I don't know how official that
Yeah,
is,
but
but somebody was
that depends on whether the Americans reckon the phrase dickheads, doesn't it?
dickhead as swearing. Yeah,
They might not think it's swearing because that's
yeah,
oh God. I mean, we've got into a whole other debate now, which is what is swearing.
yeah.
What's swearing to me isn't swearing to is swear. What's not
Just
so like I don't consider shite to be a swear word.
no.
I consider it to be one of the most evocative words in the English language and a beautiful
Mhm.
word. Right? I don't consider it
And
to be.
people find the word moist offensive as well. If you
Oh
say moist
yeah,
around people, then they go absolutely, yeah,
I
sorry to
know.
those people.
Sorry.
But it's like, it's
Gonna really
just another
trigger
word.
somebody. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen? You might not have watched what eight or nine out of ten cats does countdown. So I've forgotten her surname, Susie.
Been a while, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she was on the real countdown or the proper or the more the less comedic countdown. Susie Dent, and apparently I think I've seen her on 9 out of 10 Cats say that her the words she hates most are moist beavers. Also, it might have been Mel and Sue actually. Anyway,
Yeah,
moist beaver. Sorry if I'm triggering anybody. Anyway, fine. Where were we? So why bother keep going, etc. So
the
I was a
incremental
bit
growth. Yeah,
pissed off that I only did 26 seconds, and you're like, whoa. And then today, first time ever, feet touch the floor in the plow pose,
yeah.
right? And I'm
And then
still
2 days time, you'll be pissed off if they don't.
exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Uh,
Or like
just
tomorrow it'll be like if they don't do that, or
yeah,
if they
yeah,
don't do that. But yeah, you know what I mean. If they don't do that, I'll be like, well, but at least then
yeah,
I can do it.
yeah, yeah.
And that's just linking back to why bother. And then you might say, why bother? What's the big deal about your toes touching the floor? Well, it's an indication of where the body is, isn't it? And the mind
Mm.
and your life is, because if you just went down the route of like, I'm not going to bother with anything, what is literally the point?
Well, it's literally the point. You wouldn't do anything, would you? Yeah, yeah. Um, and posture is important as well, and it's different to yoga poses. But the more you're aware of your body, your posture affects your emotions and stuff like that as well, doesn't it? So if you're learning to carry yourself right in yoga, then you can carry yourself right in everyday life, and that will change your mood just as much as your mood changes your posture. Your postures change your mood as well. If you were to constantly sit like this and just be, it's going to drag you down. It's the way it works. There's no divide, is there? The body and the emotions are one, and the mental state is one.
I think you
Um,
said last night,
mm,
but I don't know whether you use the words pay attention. I know you definitely used the words pay attention at one point because I smiled, but I think you said pay attention to how the pose affects your breathing, but also about how the breathing affects the pose.
mm,
I think you may have even gone a bit further back into how your breathing interacts. So,
mm.
um,
Going
yeah.
back to that progression, that going back to that progression thing, and how you were pissed off about only holding a crow for 26 seconds. I had this conversation yesterday with someone and how you can forget how far you've come.
Mm,
So easy, isn't it?
mm.
I bet the first time you held a crow, even just for that second when you got both feet up, you were like, really chuffed, super chuffed, like, and you're like down. And that's the first little thing. And now, however long later, 26 seconds in, and now you're annoyed, you know, and it's just you forget how far you come. I forgot where I was going with this now. And that's the thing about pushing out towards the edge of your comfort bubble, isn't it, really? Because you forget how great you are. And then like what feels like pressure today, like, even doing this, sitting and having a chat online, broadcasting it out to YouTube, all five of them, that people that are watching or whatever, that, a year ago, there's no chance. You would
No
never
way.
have got me doing this. No way,
No way.
not at all. So, and I quite look forward to it. It's like, okay, get set up, do it. Sometimes it's like, oh damn, I've got to get up, even though it is 10 o'clock in the morning. It's like, damn, I've got to
Oh,
get up. Although I was awake early this morning, but I was just like,
what do you
just really
call
chilled out,
early?
really chilled out. Yeah. What do I call early? I think I was awake around 5:30 this morning. I
Hmm.
thought it was 6:30, but when I actually looked at my watch on my phone, it was only 20 past 7, and I've been awake for ages. So, but it was good. I utilized the time. I had a meditation. I did some breath work in bed, and then I started reading the book. So I made most of the time. Yeah, it was quite nice this morning,
What came
actually.
through in your meditation? Anything
Oh,
that you can
can't
share?
remember now, actually. Can't remember now. I was just floating
That may be the point.
just being, yeah, yeah, just kind of discharging the week, I think. Um, I had a lot of downloads yesterday about a lot of quite personal stuff, so I won't go into that. But yeah, a lot of downloads yesterday, a lot of realizations yesterday, so that was quite nice. And I think today was just absorption, really, processing, let it settle into the nervous system and the body, and let it all go.
I think something was going on yesterday.
Mm.
Did you say there was a new? a new moon, a full
New
moon.
moon at the start of the week, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. It's
Yeah, but
information, Gemini.
the energy
Yeah,
of the moon is that a full moon or a new moon.
new, new.
But the energies aren't just on the day of, are they?
No, no, they build up and carry on. Not
'Cause-
that I'm a big moonie. I don't a big moonie. I don't follow the moon religiously, but I get an email and sometimes I read it, sometimes I don't. But yeah, it was
yeah.
quite interesting actually. It was a Gemini moon, so it's quite a lot about information being stuck in the head and trying to analyze stuff. And I literally sent an email, I think on the Monday or Tuesday to somebody, and I was like, was that too heady? After I sent it, I was like, was that a bit heady? Not really. I'm not really sure. I wasn't really surrendering. I think that's what come through a lot yesterday. Just need to start just letting go of control a little bit. I've started to get back up here and into that kind of right. I need to manage this. I need to look after this, and I need to control
Mm.
this. And it's like drop back down
Yeah,
and drop back down to the heart and just let it flow, let it go.
yeah, there was a lot of that yesterday.
Mm,
Um, I'm not going to say with me, I'm going to say around me.
mm,
And all week, actually, not
yeah.
with Natasha exactly. Not
Mm,
with her earlier in the week, but with various people,
mm,
very much up here and
yeah.
overthinking
Mm,
and then yesterday, yeah, yeah. So been resetting a few things this
mm,
week, shall we say?
yeah.
Which sounds not that far off what your experience too. But I think something was going on yesterday. I think the way it felt to me, there was, and it may be that it manifests in different ways in different people, and it may be the energies of a new moon or different things or whatever. But I'm not a big moony either, but I do subscribe to the view that this, whether it's a man-made, alien-made satellite or just a moon, let's not debate that for now. I think we've had that conversation before as well.
I'd love it. I'd love it to be a space station. I'd love it to
It'd
be.
be funny, wouldn't
I
it?
really would. But
Yeah,
it'd be
it'd be
great being
funny.
observed.
Yeah, it'd be funny, and it would also explain a lot, right?
Yeah,
It would, and to be honest, if it transpired that it was, you'd be like, yeah, okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's what that I would be. It's like, yeah, fine. Come on, let's meet. Let's have a chat. What can you
Stop
tell us?
hiding. Stop hiding.
Yeah.
What's it all about? Yeah.
Why the, why have you wasted 52 years of my life and not revealed yourselves so
Yeah.
far?
Mm,
Um, when it's obvious that we're in an infinite galaxy or universe, um, there are infinite possibilities. Unless
yeah.
infinity isn't what human think, unless it's that the universe that we live in is not really infinite. It's just that it's too big for humans to comprehend.
Mm,
But
yeah.
even still, it's so ultra massive, according to our perception, that if we just apply
It
like,
leads to, yeah. When you look at the diversity of life on this planet alone, how can there not be anything
how
else
can there not
further up?
be? It
How can
just,
there not be?
I mean, of
Yeah.
course, there could not be. It might just be a divine coincidence or whatever.
Mm,
And, but I can't prove it either way. But when
mm,
I just apply a modicum of thought to it, we have a test. There are two legal tests, by the way. This is where the wizards can't be lawyers can come into it. Like when in the criminal law, like for a murder, for example, the test is beyond reasonable doubt, which a lot of people are familiar with. And depending on the type of crime, there's a different standard. So, like to prove murder, it's been a long, long time since I studied criminal law, 'cause I didn't practice it. But to prove murder, the standard is virtual certainty. So you've got beyond reasonable doubt, but then an extra level virtual certainty, or the interpretation of that becomes virtually certain based on the evidence. But in
mm,
civil law, in civil disputes, which are just as important, arguably, but are viewed perhaps a bit arbitrarily, is not as important. There's a different standard, not beyond reasonable doubt, but on the balance of probabilities, which is like, is it more or less likely that the evidence has established what the person making the assertion has asserted? So, and it's like, is it 51%, for example? So, on the balance of probabilities, is it more likely than not that in an
yeah.
infinite universe or an ultramassive universe there is any other life? Yeah, the answer to that question has to be yes, doesn't it? So just
You would have thought so.
the last minute, um, the moon, whether it's a satellite or whatever, is a massive thing near us. It's got to have some effect on us.
I'd like to go back to just being as well. We both said that it can be quite annoying when you're told to just be, but at the same time, how can you not? You can only be what you are at any given time, whether that's likable or not likable at the time, or past, present, or future. You can only be, you can't. You can't be anything else other than being you as you are at that moment. So
Be you,
you got to bring acceptance to that, haven't you?
be
Really?
you, please bother. And
Yeah. Please bother.
why
Yeah,
bother
it is
watching?
worth it. What you
Oh,
learn, we learn,
exactly.
and what you learn, I learn. So it's
And we're going
totally
to go
worth it.
now, any minute. So thank
Thank you
you.
for watching, everybody.
Ciao,
Much love.
ciao.
Peace out. See you
And
soon.
please bother because it's all experience.
Mm.
And
And we need it.
Yo, Matt, postscript. Since we recorded, I saw a post on Instagram which I've embedded here. On Monday, before recording, the words "why bothered" entered my mind. As you know, on Tuesday we recorded this episode. By Wednesday or Thursday, I'd seen the post by Inspired to Write. Even if it looked like shit, got no likes, made no money, all creative efforts or endeavours are worth it.